To conclude, several points to remember. First of all, DSA regulates the ecosystem that is powered by user-generated content. It does not regulate editorial content unless that editorial content is mixed with user-generated content. Second, DSA tries to improve trust and safety, but does not prescribe all the trustive safety measures, but only the minimum requirements, particularly the minimum requirements for the content moderation process. DSA does not impose new content rules, but it only comes up with rules about systems and procedures. So DSA itself is not inventing any new content that should be made illegal. It only augments the ability of the national law to enforce in the online space. DSA applies to European companies, but also non-EU companies if they offer services in the EU. So it has, in that sense, some extraterritorial effect. DSA regulates primarily content moderation, the process, risk management, particularly the design of services, and risk mitigation when it comes to very large online platforms, and transparency. It requires certain content moderation reports, and from the very large online platforms also certain type of data access. DSA imposes certain expectations of how systems and procedures are supposed to operate, but it's not about individual pieces of content. In fact, the Chapter 2 of a DSA is very much about when the member states cannot impose liability on the providers. Due diligence obligations are only built on top of this. So if there's a problem with hate speech on the platform, the question whether that specific platform could be liable along with the users who post hate speech, it's not something that the DSA resolves. DSA can perhaps indicate that the platform cannot be held liable through Chapter 2, but the question whether it is liable in case Chapter 2 does not protect the platform anymore because liability exemptions do not apply is something that is up to the national law. But a DSA can say something about whether the systems around hate speech notification, hate speech handling, and appeals are designed in a proper way. And finally, DSA is enforced through national regulators, and in case of the very large online platforms, also the Commission. But there's one regulator per service, which is the benefit that the companies get, because for the whole of the EU market, they get supervised in one place, which should obviously make it easier in combination with the fact that you have one set of rules that apply across the Europe, and you don't have to deal with the 27 different national laws.